1980 and moved on to do his master's from Department of History and later continued to do his PhD from the Department of African Studies. His interest lies in adult education, continuing education, lifelong learning, and population education. Moreover, he excels when it comes to counseling and guidance because this is not something that he has specifically learned. But I think with experience and working at the community learning centers, this is something which comes naturally to Professor Rajesh. And not to forget, but he is very passionate about working with the elderly population and the transgender community. Professor Rajesh has published papers pertaining to community learning centers and many more papers. He has been a renowned writer, and the books published by him talk about the social exclusion of the third gender to basically involve the third gender in having possibilities in terms of employability in India. So thank you so much, Rajesh sir, for being here and present today. Our keynote speaker number 2 is Amrita Sarkar. And Amrita Sarkar has been involved with the transgender activism for close to 2 decades and has been involved in various capacity building initiatives for the transgender communities at the national as well as the international level. And she's one of the founding members and the secretary of IRGT, which is a global network of trans women and HIV. Amrita is currently working with Solidarity and Action Against the HIV Infection in India, which is also known as SATHI. And she is also an active member of TPAT, which is Transgender Professional Association for the Transgender Health. So thank you, Professor Rajesh and Amrita Sarkar, to be
Thank
here.
you.
It gives us immense joy to learn and hear from you the actual realities which are persistent in terms of bringing about a social change. So just to take the discussion forward and to start the whole idea of why we are actually here, I would just like to give a brief. So the rights of transgender people have been protected by a range of international and regional mechanisms. Yet there are laws, policies, and practices which are continuously targeting transgender people, which includes complex procedures for changing identification documents, and which really strips them of the rights and the justice that they really deserve. And here it is not only about the gender as a third gender which needs to be recognized, but it is about any gender. So I think the main idea is to really talk about and understand what kind of action oriented plan and mechanisms can be employed so that the third gender is equally recognized and there is no stigma associated. So I would really like to ask Amrita ma'am that in your opinion, there are many identities. The India as a country is diverse. When we talk about diversity, we want diversity in food, we want diversity in cultures. 2 days we are having food at home and we get bored. We want diversity in each and every other field. So why is the stereotypical norm or the dogma associated with not recognizing the third gender as a normal gender? So in your perspective, how important is it to really self declare the gender identity of a person? So over to you, ma'am.
Right. Thank you, Purinita. And first of all, I'd like to thank the organizer. And definitely, it's a delightful moment to join Dr. Rajesh because I know him for a long time. And I'm very much obliged and honored that he made me a part of the Transgender Resource Center. And definitely, very meaningful work is going on there. So, coming back to your question, actually, you have given some idea already in your question that there is a typical stereotypical thought or stereotypical notion. See, in our country, if it's very easy to say that India is a very democratic country. We have so many caste, religion, language, everything, blah blah blah. But whenever it really the time comes to talk about people who are believing in alternative gender identity or sexual identity, definitely there is a very strong resistance from the common people. Resistance means it is there, but we don't want to listen, but we don't want to accept. Even we don't want to understand the problem. We don't want to make ourselves understand why we always deny it, that they are not there. Such people are not there in our country, which is absolutely wrong. I mean, I'm giving another example in this context. If we talk about IPC section 377, then you know that after reading it down in by Delhi High Court, now, I mean, 2018, that has got read down by Supreme Court, but even before that, that got read down by Delhi High Court. So immediate after that, there was like a faith-based group and some Baba kind of people. They actually raised, like a voice and all. They again went to Supreme Court. The petition was filed. So my question is, if I am really very much concerned about my own culture, community, my nation as an Indian, how can I forget my own history? I mean, I have no idea about Raman. I have no idea about Mahabharat. I have no idea who is Ardhanarishwar. I have no idea who was Babar. I have no idea who were Kinnar, Khojas. So if you really just think a little bit, you can see lots of example within our own epics, within our own history, within our own stories and all. Dr. Rajesh maybe can add to it as a professor. But even, I mean, if I give a simple example, if you go to Konark, Khajuraho, and all those places, you will see, sculpture depicting sexual pose, people, believing in multiple sexual behavior activities. So I think that why I'm saying all this, that in India, like nowadays, maybe we can call them gay, trans woman, trans men, but we were very, very much there. Yes, in 1860, this law, Section 377, came to our country. That was imposed by British government, but later on, they initiated same-sex marriage in their own country. So this is to think that if you see even the census data, even that there is so much problem. If you see the 2011 census data, there you can see that at least 4,80,000, yes, around 4,80,000 transgender people are there in our country. Even there is some problem because long time back we did a estimation with UNDP. The figure came like 1.8 million. So there is a problem with the enumeration process. There is a problem with the acceptance process. Most importantly, the problem is there with the service area. Service in terms of education, service in terms of health, legal aid, livelihood. Now you can see this Transgender Act is there in the picture. Even in this Transgender Act, there are so many problems. There is no option for self-identification process. Yeah, I'm a trans woman or I'm a trans man or I want to be identified as a male or female. For that, I need to get a certificate first from the district magistrate. And then if I want to change my gender as a binary identity as a male or female, then again I have to apply with those legal document, medical document, and also now process has become more complicated. The problem is that government takes decision. I do respect that they have some feelings for us, but they have to be very like strategical. I mean, strategical means they have to plan strategically. They have to think. They have to believe on evidence-based data that who are these people, what are their problems, and how they can sensitize each of their department. Professor Rajesh is here. I think in every meeting when we talk, when we see each other, we talk about that lack or absence of gender sexuality curriculum. So from the school level, from the family level, there's a strong denial, there's a strong discrimination we have to face. I mean, I'm talking about the people who belong to the transgender community, transgender identity. So that can only be possible. The problem can only be solved when more sensitization will be there. Each and every department have to be sensitized. I mean, I'm yes, I'm a transgender community person, but also there's a strong need to talk about other gender identities as well. People, for example, who are gender non-conforming, people who are intersex. So all these things we need to think that yes, India is a patriarchal country, but also sometimes we talk about give women their rights. Uh, then why, if you are giving everything to a cisgender male or female as a citizen of your country, as a taxpayer in your country, uh, 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 as a like social worker or any other like job we are engaged into, definitely we are a part of the society, and this has to be realized not only by the policy makers, the government, the politicians, but also I'm requesting the common people, maybe who are with us today, they will start to think in a different way, and that will make the change. Yeah, over. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, taking a cue from what you shared about the realities which are there, and a clear discrepancy of how the law and the policies are framed vis-a-vis the implementation not happening the way it should be, so that everybody is able to acquire the goals as envisaged by the government. So, I would like to ask Professor Rajesh sir, having worked in the community learning centers and working very closely with the transgender community, so what real challenges would you highlight for our participants here today at the discussion, which are faced by the transgender community in terms of the academic settings? Because we talk about lifelong learning, from cradle to grave, or we talk about from early years all the way to higher education, and doing the recognition of prior learning as well, which has come into being. So how do we cater to involvement of the transgender community so that the achievement of lifelong learning goals is also implemented for them?
Parinita, you have asked a very important question. First and foremost, on the Teachers' Day, and by the organizer, this a very important program where Amrita, I see Dr. Geeta also from MIT University. I see also Professor Harpreet Bhatia from Keshav Mahavidyalaya, several teachers from several universities, Dr. Viresh and others. I also see that they have joined. You have asked a very important issue pertaining to the challenges, academic challenges of lifelong learning through the community learning center and trans resource center. You see, uh, when we talk about the mainstreaming of the community, we go back to the basic human right when the 1948 the charter of the United Nations first talks about the basic human right in Magna Carta, and gradually when in 1992 we talk about the right of the children at the United Nations level, and coming down here to the new education policy, which also somehow at least names incorporate the transgender and talks in detail about the foundational education from class 3 to level of 16. That means not 8 year more than that, and that foundational level which starts from Anganwadi levels to gradually to the lifelong learning paradigm we see. As Amrita said, that in spite of the policies that has taken place, that Transgender Act of 2019, new education policy of 2020, recently framed National Council of Transgender Persons out of the policy, and all these came from this Magna Carta that we talked, and from the Sustainable Social Development 2030 goals, that we have lot many things from international and national level issues and things at theoretical level. But what Amrita currently highlight, and we used to face at transgender level in the academic or the lifelong learning forum, Parinita, that certainly we see a complete lack of representations of the community. And once we talk about human rights, it is not the human right of male or human right of female, human rights of each and every individual. Hmm. Maybe it is transgender, maybe the identity of LGBT, every individual, in spite of, we have also passed in article 21 in our constitution, right to privacy, added to our constitution. So whatever we decide, that privacy must be protected of every individual in the human right paradigm. But I also endorse Amrita that in spite of the act where the right of self determination of the community was not very well spelled out, and where at each and every time that she explained, I do not want to go detail, that every time you have to get the certification of district magistrate, which was not a part and parcel of the Nalsa judgment of the Supreme Court of April 2014. So that kind of a thing for the time being missing. We hope that National Council of Transgender Persons or their representatives will look into the matter. One thing more, when we were drafting this before the NALSA judgment for the Ministry of Social Justice, with clear cut given that the community should be given the OBC status. But so far, I don't think so that this is being implemented. And here is the clue that this is why it is not because of the self-determination identity. I have right to identify myself whatever I would like to be in any form. That is my identity and that is my fundamental right. That is being denied somewhere or not clear-cut manner. It is given, and so far as bringing them at the social platform, what is required, some kind of a positive action in terms of giving them recognition, maybe in the reservation that we talk, maybe in the family, maybe in the community. Theoretically it is all right, but practically in the academic we do not have representation. Theoretically might be talking to our academic hostels, to our libraries, to our washroom. There is no even as we talk out a gender neutral washroom. Every time the transgender community or any whosoever individual identity coming, they have to beg for their entry. They do not come. It is because of the right. They do not come. It is right of their participation as the citizen of country. They are asking something. So that kind of asking something, not actually exercising the democratic exercises, will not be possible only when the policy and programs will be there. How it will be implemented, how each and every stakeholders have to play important role through the academia, through the lifelong learning, that becomes the important paradigm. And this paradigm must be achieved through the various kind of a thing, which kindly I see that lacking at the right of education, that lacking at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. This is why they have less representation at the social level, at the educational level, at the cultural level, and at the all level. And whatever the rules and regulations are there, that may be at the theoretical paradigm, but we will have to go a long way. We will have to go a long way to see that all these theory that we are talking in terms of various policies are realized or translated into action. Parinita, for the time being, I would like to say up to this level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Very rightly said and very importantly pointed out about the important judgments. Whether it talks about the NALSAR in 2014 or the recent National Council of Transgender Persons, which has been created by the Ministry of Social Justice. So this reminds me, of a very important saying that unless something is made into a law, it is never taken seriously. We talk about changing mindsets, we talk about bringing a social change, but unless, it's given as documented policy, nobody really adheres to it. But along with this, what I would like to know is what are the other activities, practically that can be done by the community, by the youth and the adult, so that there is a clear shift in mindset. Because it's not only about the third gender, but here I would also like to emphasize on the need of recognizing how marginalized even the women are if we compare women and men. So I think we are talking about marginalization of genders, which is not only women but any other gender. So what other activities or what can be done so that there is some shift in mindset and people are able to become emotionally intelligent, because now we are really not focusing on being intellectually aware. So developing the intellectual quotient is not very important nowadays, but more than that, what is required is the emotional quotient. So if you would like to share some insights, or Amrita ma'am, it's all yours.
Okay. So, sir, you can go ahead, or I.
Amrita, I think, should I Amrita
Okay.
or whatever, whatever.
Yes. Okay. So, see, the activities actually, sir has correctly mentioned that we have long way to go. I mean, even like we can say now something is better than nothing. Yes, but the Nalsa days were, I mean, better, I can say, because I mean, in terms of restriction, in terms of rights, definitely Nalsa judgment was far better than this Protection of Rights Act. And also, like, yes, in terms of implementation, there has been no significant implementation of it. But I mean, if I may mention about my personal experience, then definitely I tried to use NALSA referent at some point of time. For example, when I had to change my passport. I had to go to regional passport office. That was in like 2016 around. I mean, after the NALSA judgment, and the Transgender Act was not in the picture much. So, just to give you a brief background as well, so when I started my gender transition process, after the medical part, when I started to change my name, etc., I went to Gazette office as well, and I submitted all the doctorate certificates, surgery certificates, everything. So, and I asked them that if I have to change my name, identity in father in near future, do I have to reproduce them? So they said no. The Gazette officers, they said no, that if you have published your name in the Gazette notification process, you have given ad, so this much is enough. Now this Gazette notification will help you to get the name change or gender change in all the documents. But when I went to passport office with the Gazette notification, they clearly denied. They told me that you have to again give me all the doctorate certificates, all the surgery certificates, everything. I said, how, why you are asking me that? I have already submitted in the Gazette office, and they told me that it is not needed if I have to change any identity documents, but they clearly denied. Again, I have to call my surgeon. Again, I have to get the a certificate from the doctor, like, and it was like in terms of time, effort, everything. That was a harassment. So even at that point of time, NASA judgment was introduced in 2014. Even after that, in terms of implementation, nothing was there. And they showed some documents. See, ma'am, in 2012, this from I mean, we are using this document, and there is no instruction is there that how to like help the people like you who have to change their name or gender. So the problem is with the implementation process. Dr. Radesh is also saying the same thing. I'm also saying the same thing. Just making the policy change, just like bringing some law, will actually not do anything until and unless we do some activity at the ground level, based on the needs, based on the problem the people like us we are facing actually. And that can only happen if government has to be take some like activity from their end as well, at the state level, at the national level as well. Okay, now this transgender council has been placed, everything is fine. But if I saw that in terms of geographical representation, that is not very much like supported from the major part of the community. And Also, like in terms of implementation, how much scope they will be given to think from the community perspective, the opportunity, the scopes, the resources, how much all this will be allocated, that is not very much clear so far. So that's the thing. So I mean, even government is trying to bring some policy changes, but as an individual, as a community individual, as a social worker, then I think my role is now like growing up in each day. Growing up means I through my project that I am currently leading in Delhi, it's called Project Samata, to promote inclusive education, healthcare, legal, and livelihood. Time to time, we organize online session as well, and in person also. Before COVID pandemic started, I had to go to various schools, colleges. Dr. Rajesh also uh, knows that in corporates also, to give training on how to how to make education and employment, all these things inclusive for people like us. So this kind of work is more needed. Sorry, resource needs to be allocated, because funding is a definitely an important issue that also government has to understand. And also people who do not belong to the transgender community, people who are not part of the any marginalized community, maybe there are so many people who are identified as a cisgender people here, even they have some role to play. And how they can do that, like they at least can sensitize themselves, they have some kind of idea, they have some kind of information that these people are not alien, they are just like normal people like us. And the facility, the like whatever services they can enjoy in this democratic country, we also do have the similar rights to get them. Because I mean, if we are paying tax, if we are doing our educations, I mean, if I talk about education, yes, there is very handful, like number is very less, but even today you can see people from my community, there are doctors, there are police. So yes, I mean, we are also trying to like cope up from the situation, but also definitely support is very much required from the common people. I mean, at least as a common people, if you see that if you are in an educational institute or in your workplace, people like us getting harassed, getting discriminated, stop that. Try to stop that. Don't entertain people who, I mean, like who are throwing bad words, or who are doing physical or verbal abuse. Don't entertain that. You can help people like us legally, emotionally. So even do not bringing changes at the policy level, even not associated with a community based organization or a NGO, even like you also can do a lot. Yeah, thank you. Over.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I think to rightly summarize what I have understand from what you have experienced and what you genuinely feel is, it is not only about working for the transgender community, but more importantly, it is about working with them, so that they are able to overcome the hurdles and the challenges that they face in everyday lives. uh, what I would like to know more is in terms of the new education policy. And my question is regarding the Gender Inclusion Fund. So I would like to know that how far, in your opinion, can the Gender Inclusion Fund, which is envisaged by the new education policy, go towards ensuring including education of transgender children specifically, looking at also the severe socio-economic challenges?
Hmm. I can go after Dr. Rajesh. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Professor Rajesh, sir, please.
Thank you. Amrita has explained very well. You see, you asked about the new education policy 2020.
Hmm.
If we see the policy, and that we used to say in several forums, that at least in new education policy, there is a mention of transgender. And in spite of, whatever the things, the act is being passed, certain changes or whatever that it may be required. You have asked about the Gender Inclusion Fund. This is a positive step, that education fund is there, and this will be used because the fund need to be created. There is a provision in the new policy. This need to be created and will be used for the students, learners up to class 12, including the marginalized or the transgender community. Now there is a provision, but I have also one apprehension. When we used to go to the schools with Amrita and other, our scholars, we used to say that even the principal, even the school teachers, they have so far not heard about the community. We have just 2019 nearby to our university, we have approached 150 students, 10, 15 principals and school teachers with our scholars there. They said that we know that something is there about the policy, but we have not come across any community person. And the student of class 11 or 12 were laughing कि sir, what you will be talking about transgender sir, वही जो रोड पे रहते हैं, those who do and that, they were just ridiculing. Now the question is, in theoretically you are very right, that is there. And we also say that through the foundational literacy, where the family, the Anganwadi worker are the very prominent kind of a thing in the policy. But the question is that, first and foremost, unless the family, the community, the educational institutions, all the three genders, teachers, students, karamchari, the institution becomes inclusive, because your topic is inclusive, all become inclusive for all genders, the social exclusion will be there. And very right that fund creation is talking may be created, but how it will be used for this marginalized community will remain a question, and we will have to see in future that how it is being done, what is currently required, that maybe NCRT becomes the nodal person for the new education policy, that the educational institutions through our lifelong learning paradigm kind of a thing, through our transgender resource center, we try to do that, how advocacy, how education, communication kind of a things being done with all stakeholders of the university, college, and other part of the society, so that an enabling environment is created in our society for all transgenders, not only transgender, all gender, whatever the individual, all stakeholders of the society, and everybody gets a true justice in the sense, in the paradigm that the community exists. Unless it is there, the gender inclusion fund may be there. What will happen? They will continue to remain in the culture of silence, what Paulo Freire talks about, because the share in the booty, the share in the economic affairs will only be done by those persons who are having some kind of a educational power, who has some kind of a advocacy power, communication power, to get the things that is there in the policy. Unless it is there, I'm afraid in our situation you cannot snatch things from. I use the term snatch because they have so far deprived out of all these things. They will not be able to get the control over the things. And what we talk about is not the right. What we talk about the genuine right of their participation in the family, in the educational institution, and with all stakeholders as a matter of right to the participation as a Indian citizen. Yeah, that I wanted to add.
Thank you so much, sir. Amrita ma'am, would you like to add?
Yes, so actually, nothing more to add. Dr. Rajesh has already mentioned this transgender person part. If I talk about this education policy, so technically, I'm saying if you search by Control F, I can see that document that is in front of myself. If you search by Control F and you press the transgender word, it will come thrice. And every time you can see that it is mentioned in a particular paragraph, that is 6.9, where it is talking about gender inclusion fund. This fund will be available to states to implement priorities, blah 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 blah, ABC XYZ. So that is the problem. I mean, that the problem is with government, with that they introduce something, they give some like instruction, but how that is more important, that is not given there. Leave, I mean, if I think from the Transgender Person Protection of Rights Act, there also it's saying that insurance will be given for hormone replacement therapies, surgery, and all these things. But what amount? There was no like mention of how much money will be given, what is the process, and all these things. So I mean, yes, it is happening, but sorry to say, somehow I'm also feeling that it is happening in a superficial way. For example, if there is money, if there is like gender neutral toilet, everything is there, if any like ABC school or college. But if teachers are not sensitized, students are not sensitized, and I mean, then how a trans person can go to access the education? So just by providing money or just by giving some instruction, it will not help until and unless you understand the problem, which is the root cause. You always have a top to bottom approach, you have to get the bottom to top approach. I mean, that is why I'm talking like repeatedly, evidence based approach is absolutely needed. I mean, see, I mean, if we do not have gender sexuality curriculum, if we do not have any gender sensitization program that talks about transgender people, I mean, how we can, make the education inclusive at school level, university, I mean, all these places. So, I mean, we have to think in a rational way that yes, government is trying to help us. That is fine. We are I mean, very much honored, and I give a thank from the behalf of my community. But also, we have to give some kind of time and thoughts that is the role of the government. If they really want to change the situation, think from a practical way, think from a problem based approach, from evidence based approach, to communicate with the people, to communicate with the department, to get the data, to have interaction with the community, then only I think something can be changed. Yeah, over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amrita ma'am. Uh, So what it really intrigues me that being discriminated against just because of another gender is in itself, a distressful situation. So, what I would like to know is that the kind of counseling techniques which have been employed, maybe in your experience or at your workplace or maybe an education institution. How is it when it comes to counseling, a transgender person who is anyway facing a very stressful life.
Mm.
So maybe you could give some insights on that. And Professor Rajesh sir has worked very closely in that field. So, sir, we would really love to hear your valuable inputs.
Thank you, Parinita. In fact, what is required, you see, that so far as counseling and guidance for this marginalized community is concerned, uh, what is required is basically here a community based counseling, a personal level interaction interface. You see, because we cite from Transgender Resource Center that we open in University of Delhi, and we made ourselves available for that community, but there was no large sections of participation because they need to come from one place to other place. And one of the studies said, and we have seen in the case of National AIDS Control Organization program also, that in some of the cases they are also victimized by the police persons. When in the evaluation program, I was earlier there, and I used to say that the peer educator, those who are working from the community, they come late. We used to ask why you are late. They say that now perhaps the office address is changed, the office is changed, and we could not get the right place to reach here, because when even ask the police person, they ask so many silly questions,
Mm.
a lot many things like I can quote one ki bhai Banthan ke kahan ja rahe ho, and giving a very smiley face is such a a silly comments, even by the police person. I quote, they have quoted this, they have quoted like this. Now when the administration, the police person, and even teacher students are not there, what is required for the time being, Parinita, that Amrita maybe agree. Professor Archana Das is also here. She is the head department of social work, Jamia Millia is here. What is required that you approach them like, if the students or the learners are not coming to the schools, can the school reach to the learners? Can the counseling or guidance unit of the university, as part of outreach, as part of extension, you just do the mapping of the community persons where they are living, and through the community mapping that the NACO does, you reach them, and through one-to-one, through group counseling, through focus group discussion, you just try to counsel them for their educational involvement, for their community involvement, for their family involvement, and also see if they face some kind of a problems or situation. You can also have the meetings with the resident welfare association, several administrative bodies. Look, they are also part and parcel of the society, and we are here from the counseling unit, we are here from transgender resource center. What we required, that a genuine platform for them where they get a genuine kind of their rights which need to be addressed. You make a address, some kind of interface between those who are providing the services and the community marginalized person at the place of the community where these people are living. So the approach of counseling and guidance, Parinita, in this case will be somehow community friendly approach, not a institution friendly approach, because institution friendly, we might be sitting in our ICT based air condition, but it will be very difficult for them to reach out. So we must go to their level at the slums, at the migrant place where they are living, and we provide the genuine kind of a facilities or counseling to them. Parinita.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, what I rightly understood from your inputs is that extension is not to be looked at just, as a topic or, as a discourse which needs to be done, but there has to be an active, implementation of how extension can be taken to the field so that we are able to counsel and guide, the community members in
Certainly,
terms of.
certainly.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Amrita ma'am, anything that you would like to add with respect to this?
Yes, just a very small thing. And nowadays, even in educational institute, we can have mental health expert. There are counselors also. I mean, if a student is facing some mental health related issues, as problem, if someone gets bullied or harassed, they can go to such counselor in such schools and all. But even from the community, I have heard that even after approaching to that mental health person, they said that, oh, you got harassed. Why? Oh, because you are feminine, because you are masculine, so the problem is yours. So even the counselors who needs to be more empathetic, I'm using the word empathetic, not sympathetic, who should be more empathetic than others, they don't have the proper information, they don't have that feeling for us. So also I have a question of this I mean appointment process. I mean, how these people get selected. I mean, you can see like result is in front of you. How many people you can see that from an educational institute you can see that there are transgender people. There's a huge rate of dropout from education, and that is why transgender resource center was created. So they have a great role to play. And apart from the educational institutes, there are organizations like in Sathi also. We run a counseling helpline. I'm a counselor myself. So counselor's role is very much important, not only for the students but also for the teachers, also for the staff, also for the parents, because nowadays there are like teachers parents association in every school. So the responsibility lies up at both the end, from the teacher's point of view, from the parent point of view, that this conversion therapy, that they should not start. That I have seen, I have got information that people parents come to schools and all, and they said that you can change our children, and they go to doctor, mental health expert, that start conversion therapy, they are given electric shocks. So I mean, teachers, family, parents, they are the immediate supporters for us. because it's saying like charity begins at home. So the best counseling we can get from our parents, from our teachers. So not only those counselor who have defined job or defined role to play, but I think everyone is a counselor if we have, I mean, at least some kind of information or feeling for the marginalized community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the need for empathy is really important and has to be not only talked about but practiced in our everyday lives. So thank you so much. I would like to pose some questions which have been asked by our attendees,
Mhm.
if you may allow.
Yeah, you can continue.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So we have a question which is being asked by an attendee named Sia Bihari. So he asks that is there any policy to appoint any particular person for the help of transgenders in the government offices, as a representative?
Okay, I can address that. Then Dr. Rajesh can add to it. So I have seen that I have taken session in various corporates. There are like a workplace policy, but sometimes they are not very much inclusive. I mean, if I give example about pregnant women, people who are in needs of mm, mm, like during the pregnancy they can take leave, they can get support and all. But if I talk about trans women or trans men, definitely transition process is also very much important for us. Some, there are people who want to change their body, who want to change their like gender markers and all these things. So if you are giving your cisgender employee this kind of support during their pregnancy or during their marriage or any other thing, then why you cannot provide the same opportunities, same like option, same support for your uh, other staff as well, who might not be falling under typical male female category. And also I mean, if I talk apart from this workplace policy, if people are there who are a little bit understanding, I mean, they can like sensitize other people. And nowadays I can give example of Microsoft, Li and Fang. There are couple of corporates already have started their DNI, that is the diversity and inclusion cell, where they bring people like us, they bring community people, and they get the learning information from the CBOs, NGOs, from community experts. So this thing needs to be scaled out as well. So yeah, over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have the next question, which is for Rajesh, sir. So the question is that, sir, as you are involved in academics, is there any dedicated research organization, such as the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, which conducts scientific study of transgender health?
There are some organization as part of the voluntary health kind of a thing. There are individual also. I think we know one Dr. Chakrapani, who is a medical doctor, is also our friend, who is currently undertaking so many researches. He has contributed papers also, and he is currently involved in PGI Chandigarh. Also work with so many UNDP projects. UNDP is also sponsoring certain projects related to that. You see, I think Sati has also taken some of the projects related to that. So there are certain organizations who are working on that. We know that even for the LGBT rights, we have to and see. Amrita talked about the British that rule was the law was there and which was repealed after that. It is because of the prominent role of the various organizations came together to repeal the law, and then given the inclusiveness kind of a thing. So certain things are there. There are organization also working in Delhi, exclusively devoting to the school level sort of things. As you know that we have also initiated our research activities in our department through TRC. and there are two research level programs, PhD level currently in progress. Dr. Aslam might have joined today. He has already completed his study on that. You know, Amrita has done. Amrita, I'm talking. Akanksha has done MPhil on that and currently pursuing in research along with Vishal. So such activities and prominent organizations are working on that, but not like at there at the international forum. More such platforms is required. Might be that National Council for Transgender Person will ask for that, will ask for funding, some kind of a further researches. Our transgender unit met with Dr. Geeta and Amrita there to discuss how we can have do the partnership in the researches, and we can just collaborate and undertake some kind of a thing. So some focus is required in this area,
Mm.
Parinita.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have another question which is being asked by Shivam. So his point is that there have been a lot of rules and implementations back and forth happening between the time period of 2014 and 2019. Post that, has there been some sort of prominent change which is being visible when it comes to the society and the recognition of the third gender?
Uh,
Sir,
yeah.
after you. Okay.
You will not as we discussed now, that lot many rules are being or the legal things are being passed. We talked about the new education policy. We talked about the transgender act. We talked about the National Council for Transgender persons is there at the International Forum Sustainable Social Development 2030. It talks about that kind of a thing towards education. 2030, it also talks about the inclusiveness, about a kind of a things. What is required? We also heard that now there is one university in Uttar Pradesh who will be addressing transgender from kindergarten to the university level. So such things were also discussed in that, and it may be that these rules and laws that we are making through the budget notification of the government of India, maybe that certain things in course of time will be achieved. But this is the right time that from 2014 to onwards, certain actions are taken at the theoretical forum. But how it is practically implemented, how the result is coming, like you talked about the gender fund, we have a national council, all things are there. But how the community and other stakeholders will be doing the things, and the transgender community will getting their rights in the family, in the community, and at the society at large through these acts. That is a time to see that. Yeah, Amrita.
Thank you, sir. So just to add to you, and also another question, uh, I can see that what are the partnerships and marriage rights of transgender people? Someone has asked, maybe in 2019 Act. So my answer is also related to that. If you see the changes happened, I mean, from 2014 after the Nana Alsa judgment came in the picture, now there this Transgender Act. Dr. Rajesh has already said that even I'm saying the same thing. Nothing important has been, I mean, done so far after the Nanalsa judgment was introduced. And the thing is that, I mean, even in the Transgender Act, there are many flaws. Like you have told yourself that in terms of marriage, there nothing is mentioned. In terms of adoption, nothing is mentioned. In terms of property rights, nothing is there. And also, like if I talk from other point of view, say for example, like if some trans woman get physically harassed or get raped, then the punishment for the perpetrator comes within like 6 months to 2 years. And if there is a cisgender woman, then the punishment for the perpetrators comes around like 7 years. So there are disparities already, differences are there already. So definitely I'm coming back again to my same thoughts again. We have something is going on, but definitely I mean, more activity, more need-based approach, more evidence-based approach is very much needed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Amrita ma'am. So I think we would just be taking one or two more questions if that is fine. Okay. So the next question is from Mr. Praveen. He has asked that what would be the main objective of the National Council for Transgender Persons which has been created, and has there been any kind of work which has been done yet, and what kind of revolutionary change do we envisage when we see this council being formed?
Okay, so I can quickly add, then Dr.
Amrita, yeah.
Rajesh
Yeah.
can add to it. So this council has been set up at the national level actually to look after the activities, to look after the areas, clause, whatever that is happening in a right way mentioned in the Transgender Act. Now there are transgender rules also. So we raised a very valid concern. What this transgender council at the national level will do if there is no state level body, if there is no district level body and all. I mean, you have to get something at the state level as well. So this, I hope, council will take it forward. So one of the major role of the council is that to coordinate with the organizations, to coordinate with the community, and also act as a bridge between the government and the community. Already, there are close friends of mine who are part of the process, and we have been, having a conversation on daily basis almost, that these are the areas we need to think about, we need to talk about. But also there are limitations in terms of willingness of government, resource allocation, then how the department will be really very friendly enough, really they are ready enough to accept all those ideas, suggestions and all. So definitely it will take like long time, I think. Also now the policy, I mean the this rules, they have just started, but still, I mean, long way to go, long way to go. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think Amrita has already added that the National Council for Transgender Act, it is there at national level. Unless there is a structure at the state level, district level, up to the lower level, you will not able to get the real target achieved. Now, she is very right that it is there for 3 years. Now, in 3 years, you need a fund, you need structure at every level. You also wanted to create structures at the educational institutions. All these things need to be done. That I currently know that Professor Archana Rasi might be also knowing here. She had joined. That it is going on that the government is trying that how this act, which is there in terms of legislature, it becomes popular or it is known among all stakeholders, particularly the community, in multiple languages, through various webinars, through various structures being created, so that people could know about that. So unless it is known to all the stakeholders, particularly the primary stakeholder, and also there is a structure from central level to the panchayati raj level, and the resources distributed, we will not be able to do that. So it is a one step that central level budget notification is there. There are perhaps one meeting or so, but what required is the structure throughout the pan India, and they must act with resources and also in the knowledge of all stakeholders, the primary stakeholder, particularly the rural community, all community gets the real participation in that. Only then it will be able to achieve. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So I think the need of the hour is really to have a trickle down approach, that it's a very good step that the National Council has been framed. But unless it is really trickle down to the smaller areas, we would not be able to see any kind of revolutionary change.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, sir. So we would be taking the last question, which is asked by Sia, and after which I would invite Professor Archana Dasi ma'am to share some views. So, sir and Amrita ma'am, the question is that what exactly is the role of the Human Rights Commission in the promotion of the rights for transgenders?
Okay, just quickly to say human rights, there's a word you can see human. So we are also human. I mean, everybody is human. So when you are talking about human rights, definitely you have to think about people like us also. I mean, every living, either male or female, transgender person, lesbian, bisexual, intersex, everybody is human. So, I mean, uh, this for this particular session, I think I did a promotional video also. There also, I requested the audience that please don't judge us based on like gender identity or sexual orientation. Judge a human by someone's skills, by like morality, values, and everything. So, like today is a Teachers' Day. So, if I talk in terms of education, definitely it's a I mean, concern of rights, and there are so many, I mean, areas that health, education, livelihood, legal aid. So all these things are definitely human rights. So whenever you are talking about human rights, services, anything that if even you are not talking about us, we are already there. Because I mean, we are a human. So as we know you are human, like cisgender people, you are human. Similarly, you also know that we are human. So now the question comes to acceptance. So acceptance is very, very much important. Sometimes in human rights commissions, there are files after files, and like people can give complaint and all these things. I think that is another area that's what I'm trying to say from the beginning. There are government departments. If I talk about human rights commission, if I talk about, for example, very basic things, police people. I'm still today. I mean, I have the information. My community member goes to the police station and their complaints are not taken. They get like verbal abuse, physical abuse, and all. So everything is related to human rights. If I talk about basic services, if I talk about humanity, everything. So I mean, to sum up this, that definitely we are present everywhere in terms of human rights, in terms of services. Now it has to be refreshed. It has to come up with a new zeal, new passion, because we are somehow we are, yes, there are negative, but somehow we are positive. That council is there, the transgender rules are there, so definitely they will bring some changes, but also a lot more advocacy needs to be done here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Parinita, I will not add too much here. I will say few sentences only. Amrita has already said. I will quote our former Vice Chancellor, who was a very legal person from Faculty of Law and who made instrumental in making the Constitution of South Africa, Professor Upendra Bakshi. He first says, before talking to human rights, let us first become human. Hmm. Let us first become human before talking to human rights. This is
Absolutely.
the day when we open our social media and newspaper. We used to say our newspaper is, full of the story of teasing, rape, sexual violence, all these things. You see pages and pages, all that in 21st century. In
True.
spite of so many years of our independence, in spite of our development in ICT, global, reaching out to all the places, how we are human, how
Hmm.
much we are sensitive so far to our women and to our third gender is a matter of our sensitivity. So I, Parinita, see that today in 21st century, when we are talking about too much, when our level of education at all the places, we know that I do not want to make them count. On the one hand, we wanted to make everybody, educated, ICT educated, everything to be given skill and everything we are talking. But gradually, are we becoming more insensitive toward these community, towards the marginalized community, towards the women, toward the socially, economically weaker community, which our new education policy talks about? It reminds me that for what purpose our education is there when we are gradually becoming more insensitive, and what will be the ultimate kind of a thing where we will become human, where Professor Upendra Bakshi is saying. So it is not the law only. Parinita. There were laws against dowry, but we see that women are being burned. There are women who are burned here, and lot many things. I cite one example. We visited Tihar jail for some kind of a thing. It was full of those who were facing a dowry kind of a things. Victims who were the victims of the dowry, burning, all these kind of a things. So I would not like to say on that, but since you raised such questions, where I could not restrain myself, and then I question myself whether we are becoming more sensitive or becoming more insensitive in spite of the education, in spite of ICT. We have to think on that, and we have to make ourselves more human than talking about the human rights, Parinita.
Thank you so much, sir. And yes, thank you, sir. I would now like to invite Professor Archana Dasi, ma'am, who has some valuable comments that she would like to share with all of us.
Thank you, Parinita, for giving me this opportunity and being a good host, entertaining me at the last minute. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rajesh ji and Amrita. It was great listening to you. I just have quick 2 comments to make. Number one, that after the Transgender Act came and then the Nalsa judgment and all those things happened. So there are a number of things which have started rolling out, and maybe you can see that National Council is there and rules have come. So one thing which is positive is that at least the state has started recognizing that this is an important population group which is existing there. So the first thing is that the identification of these people, that they have an identity. Now the issue is, before this, even the identity was a major crisis. When you are not even being recognized as a part of the national population, that is something which is more demeaning. But at least one thing is there, that the recognition that this is a population group, there are people who are sitting together and talking about it. But from here, what I actually see, that things have come up, but I'm sorry, I should not be quoted anywhere, and Amrita would agree to that. चीजें आ गई हैं, लेकिन ऐसे लगता है जैसे टोकनिज्म हो रहा है. लग गया है सब कुछ यहाँ वहाँ, लेकिन चल नहीं रहा. That is something, what I am very upset about this whole thing, because अभी तक जब तक rules भी बन रहे थे, उन rules के ऊपर भी again I and Rajesh ji and many other people and many transgender friends were there, and we were discussing with the Secretary Social Justice Empowerment about this whole thing. So same things getting repeated. तो unfortunately कहीं पे ये लगता है कि वो हमारी वो हालत हो चुकी है उस चीटी वाली, कि हम जो है वो 10 मीटर ऊपर जाते हैं और 5 मीटर फिर नीचे आ जाते हैं. So up and down is going on. तो एक चीज तो ये है. दूसरी चीज, लेट्स रिकॉग्नाइज कि गलत चीजें कहाँ पे हैं जिनको हमें स्ट्रेंथन करना है. ये तो एक पॉइंट है हम सबके लिए सोचने का. दूसरा जो इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट है, एंड आई वाज रियली टेम्प्टेड टू टॉक अबाउट इट, इज जब ये आ रहा था कि उनकी काउंसलिंग की जाए, काउंसलिंग की नीड्स हैं ट्रांसजेंडर्स की. Have we really recognized and have we ever thought that उनकी काउंसलिंग की नीड्स क्यों बनती हैं और कहाँ पे बनती हैं? पहली बात ये, do they have that opportunity to do all that kind of a psycho-social emotional sharing with others? क्या वो हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है? तो इसमें अगर मैं एक, if we really take a very small step and let all the people, I am very happy to see 30-40 people sitting in this webinar also and talking about these issues. तो क्या एक सबसे छोटा स्टेप जो उठाया जा सकता है वो हमारी स्टूडेंट कम्युनिटी उठा सकती है, and that is that we become friends with them. तो पहला स्टेप होगा कि आप उनके साथ दोस्ती शुरू कीजिए, आप इस सिचुएशन को बिल्कुल नॉर्मलाइज हो कर दीजिए, दैट देयर इज नो डिफरेंस बिटवीन इफ आई एज अ गर्ल हैव अ फ्रेंड हु इज अनदर गर्ल, हु इज अनदर बॉय एंड हु इज अ ट्रांसजेंडर. सो यू नो, जहां पे आप इन चीजों को अपनी रूटीन में नॉर्मलाइज करना शुरू करेंगे, वहां बहुत सारे स्ट्रेसेस जो हमारी ट्रांसजेंडर यूथ फेस कर रहा है और जिसके बारे में वो बोल नहीं पाता है. आज भी यू नो, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दी हिजरा एंड द किन्नर कम्युनिटी जो एकदम से आपको विजिबली दिखती है, इनमें से कितने लोग इसके अलावा ऐसे हैं जो एलजीबी कम्युनिटी में से हैं, जो ओपनली वर्बलाइज करते हैं दैट दिस इज समथिंग व्हाट आवर आइडेंटिटी इज. Why? Because somewhere there is still after having this transgender act and blah 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 going on, ये भी है वो भी है ना, वो सबके बाद भी still they are suspecting कि जिस दिन हम अपनी आइडेंटिटी रिवील करेंगे तो ये जो मेरा बेस्ट फ्रेंड है या जो मेरी ये बेस्ट फ्रेंड है, ये मुझसे अपना रिलेशनशिप सिर्फ एक दोस्ती का वो भी कंटिन्यू रखेगी कि नहीं रखेगी. तो अगर हम इसके लिए जरूरत क्या है? इसके लिए जरूरत ये है कि जो मेल एंड फीमेल है, जिस बाइनरी की हम बात कर रहे हैं, वो ओपनली ट्रांसजेंडर के बारे में बात करना शुरू करें. अपने ग्रुप्स में इसको एक कॉमन टॉपिक बनाएं. जिस तरह से आप किसी मूवी को डिस्कस करते हो, जिस तरह से आप बाकी सब चीजों को डिस्कस करते हो, बिकॉज दैट इज समथिंग, यू नो, यू डोंट हैव टू डू द काउंसलिंग फॉर द ट्रांसजेंडर्स. आई एम सॉरी, वो बात की बात है. पहले अपने आप को अवेयर करो, अपने अंदर सेंसिटिविटी लाओ. आप अगर जो नॉन ट्रांसजेंडर्स हैं, नॉन टीजी कम्युनिटीज हैं, आप अगर उनके अंदर अवेयरनेस फैला दोगे तो आपको कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं होगी, एक्सेप्टेंस बढ़ती चली जाएगी. एंड दिस इज समथिंग व्हाट वी एक्चुअली टॉक अबाउट एम्पैथी. एम्पैथी इज नॉट ओनली गिवन बाय द काउंसलर्स अक्रॉस द टेबल. Empathy can be a widespread thought which can be exercised by all of us. हम में से कितने लोग, आप तो आज ट्रांसजेंडर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, अगर आपके क्लास के बैच में, आपके ग्रुप में अगर कोई डिसेबल्ड बच्चा होता है, जो फिजिकली डिसेबल्ड है या जिसका जो विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड है, आप में से कितने लोग जो है वो उसके साथ कंधे से कंधा मिला के कैंपस में चलना चाहते हैं? है अगर आप एक विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड बच्चे के साथ, लड़के या लड़की के साथ चल रहे हैं, तो सारी पब्लिक आपकी तरफ मुड़ के देखेगी. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि कंफर्ट लेवल्स अपने सही करने होंगे दूसरों की तरफ उंगली उठाने से पहले. तो व्हेन वी आर एक्चुअली मेकिंग द सिचुएशन अनकंफर्टेबल, दिस इज लीडिंग टू ऑल दोस काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रेसेस फॉर व्हिच आवर टीजी कम्युनिटी नीड्स द काउंसलिंग. Counseling is something which is the last resort. The first thing is acceptance, unconditional acceptance by all of us, and recognizing the fact that you know, मुझे I am ashamed of the fact कि अमृता को ये कहना पड़ा कि ह्यूमन राइट्स कमीशन की अगर बात करते हो तो हम भी ह्यूमंस हैं. I'm so ashamed of this fact कि उसको ये कहना पड़ रहा है. लानत है हम पे आज 74 साल के इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद, that somebody says we are also human. Are we blind? Can't we see that they are humans? क्या हमारी ह्यूमन की परिभाषा कुछ अलग है? हम सिर्फ अपने आप को एक आइडेंटिटी जो मेजॉरिटेरियन व्यू है, सिर्फ उस हिसाब से चलना चाहते हैं. जैसी ज्यादातर लोग दिखते हैं वही सही है. सो प्रोबेबली वी ऑल हैव टू फर्स्ट बिल्ड अप and change that public opinion. We have to change the attitude of people. We have to generate that mass awareness. और वो सिर्फ हमारे स्टूडेंट्स और हमारे टीचर्स इकट्ठे मिलके कर पाएंगे when they openly start talking about these things. And it will not, it is great that we have a webinar today on this issue, लेकिन ये चीजें सिर्फ वेबिनार तक नहीं रह जानी चाहिए. उससे वेबिनार तक जो चीजें हैं उससे ज्यादा काम तो अमृता अपने दफ्तर में बैठ के कर रही है. So let's open out. Let's open out and let's talk about it. Thank you so much. Thank you Rajesh ji. Thank you Parinita. I was a little emotional about this whole thing, but I actually get frustrated when I am not able to see the things moving. Research करने से बहुत अच्छी चीजें मिलेंगी, हमें मालूम है, लेकिन कदम पहले खुद उठाना पड़ेगा हर फील्ड में, हर चीज में. ओवर टू
Thank
यू.
you. Thank you,
Very
ma'am.
good,
Thank
very
you
good.
so much.
Parinita, just one sentence I will tell. That Professor Archana Dasi was very right. I was not even knowing, I don't know I should reveal or not. Every time when Amrita used to come to North Campus to Transgender Resource Center, she used to call some research scholars. क्या कि गेट पे जरा चले आना, पता नहीं मे बी चौकीदार might not be giving me entry, so somebody might be Nitish, Vishal, somebody going out, कहाँ जा रहे हो? Just sir, I am just coming. Now see, after some time he or she is coming with Amrita, just one sentence, Professor Archana Dasi. When I became the head of department in 2012, and when we started calling transgender in my barracks, my one of the fourth grade employee, my students know Rani, she is also there. She rushed to me, भागते हुए आई, and she told, sir, आप कहीं, वो मांगने वाली दो चार सर आ गई हैं, वो कह रहे हैं राजेश जी कहाँ है, तो सर आप कहीं छिप जाएं. What happened, this is why we started all these things in the North Campus. Madam, we wanted that in several colleges, some of the activities we have started, and we wanted to see that University of Delhi in each college. Amrita has also gone to RSD College, North Campus so many times. She has visited with the male and female. So many activities in the workshop have been started in our, but that is not sufficient. We wanted to start at least one corner for the community in the library and the college premises, where they can go with the confidence and they can sit with all the stakeholders that you were talking about. That we are gradually doing. We are not getting the support of the administration, but we are trying to move out. You are very right. We will able to mainstream only when we will start our first step, and then the other step will follow. Parinita, I will not talk here too much because you might have time constraint also. Yeah.
No, sir. Thank you so much. And to Professor Archana ma'am, what I would personally like to say after hearing you is that being emotional has to be taken as a strong quality and not a negative quality, which I personally feel, because that is one of the major ways you can build, a stronger willpower to bring about a change. So thank you so much, for actually getting emotional and sharing with us as to how you feel and what needs to be done. Because also during the pandemic, we've heard a lot about social distancing, and also the UN, came up, the WHO talked about a social bubble. You're only interacting with the people in your family or your immediate relatives. So I think, how I would like to relate today's topic with the idea of social bubble is that, trying to make a change in your immediate social bubble, and then only you can go ahead, in the communities to actually see the kind of change that you have really, envisioned. Archana ma'am, if you have a few minutes, there is a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So there is a question asked by Mr. Aditya, and he says that we are part of the society where there is a large group who even fails to accept and recognize the female gender. So in such a society, in your opinion, how difficult would you think will it be to accept a third gender?
See, the whole thing is that when we talk about female, it is something which is already visible there. See, females are not accepted because of patriarchy. So breaking the glass ceiling and accepting and women really coming out, so we can say that gradually they have started breaking the barriers which were created by patriarchy. And whether the male or the men, whether they like it or not, they have to somewhere start accepting the fact that women are coming up. And you can see that still women are struggling. ऐसी बात नहीं है that their struggle is over. They are still struggling, but at least they are not facing that kind of problem which a transgender is facing, you know, for a community, for example, no, the example which is just given by or the incidents which is just given by Rajesh ji, that you know, they said कि आप छुप जाइए, कोई आ गया है वहां पे और वो आपको पूछ रहा है. So the thing is that I'm quoting Amrita, that when a community is not even recognized as a part of human population, that is something more dreading. That is something more dreading. And I think, and I very strongly feel, you know, मैं एक चीज आपसे शेयर करना चाहूंगी. I am a professor in Department of Social Work, Jamia Millia University. And from last 2 years regularly till I have, you know, last 3 years, जब से मैंने you know, कुछ चीजों को संभाला है, and पहले as a director and now as a head of the department, I made it a point that every year I have a interface of all my students. There are around 250 students in my department plus the research scholars. I'm just talking about MA people. I am making it sure that I am calling people from the transgender community and they are interacting with my students. This is something, and आप बिलीव नहीं करोगे कि सेशन टेक्निकली 1 घंटे का होता है, you know, maybe from 3 to 4, और हर बार जो है, इस बार तो ये हुआ, and I'll name, there's an organization called Space and Anjan Joshi is associated with it. तो अंजन को 3 बजे उसने शुरू किया और 6:30 तक उसको स्टूडेंट्स छोड़ ही नहीं रहे थे with the queries. कि अगर ये होगा तो क्या करें, अगर ये होगा तो क्या करें. And you know, he was there with his team of 4 transgender people, so there were 4 people who were there, and you won't believe that when we took the feedback, that session was out of 12 sessions in one semester, those 12 interfaces, this session was considered the best. And you know why? Just because that this was the session which was important for breaking those barriers and those challenges जो हमारे दिमाग में हैं. They are at the mental level. You have to come out of it. Do you know that where all the transgender people are, you know, placed in a number of international NGOs, they are working like anything, and they are you know, delivering what we really need at this point of our. So yes, first, that is what I said, that yes, you cannot, we cannot directly compare. हालांकि विमेन को भी डिसएडवांटेज कहा जाता है एंड ट्रांसजेंडर को भी डिसएडवांटेज कहा जाता है, लेकिन दोनों के डिसएडवांटेजेस अलग तरीके के हैं. एक का डिसएडवांटेज ये है फीमेल का कि पेट्रियार्की की वजह से, पावर रिलेशंस की वजह से उसको ऊपर नहीं आने दिया जा रहा. लेकिन ट्रांसजेंडर का जो डिसएडवांटेज है वो ये है कि उसको तो एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग ही नहीं आइडेंटिफाई किया जा रहा. तो उसकी लड़ाई तो सबसे पहले अपनी आइडेंटिटी की है कि भैया मैं भी हूं. तो कहीं पे कोशिश हमें ये करनी है. तो देखिए, पहली बात ये है कि जब तक हम अपनी सोच नहीं बदलेंगे, इवन मैं ये कहती हूँ कि ये जो 30 बच्चे या 40 स्टूडेंट्स यहाँ पे बैठे हुए हैं, अगर ये अपनी सोच बदल लेना, तो हर एक तुम में से एक भी अगर 3 की 4 की सोच बदल ले, तो मेरे ख्याल से जो है अपने आप ही बदलाव आ जाएगा. हमें कोशिश नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, तब हमें ये सारी बातें डिस्कस नहीं करनी पड़ेंगी. क्यों? क्योंकि फिर अपने आप जो है, you know, that public opinion will build up and you will see that people are ready to listen to this cause.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am.
किसी भी I'm just taking 1 minute to conclude. 1 minute.
Quite busy.
1 minute to conclude. So which means unless and until 1 minute, unless and until a disadvantaged community जो है, जब तक वो सिर्फ खुद आवाज उठाएगी, तब तक उसकी नीड्स को फुलफिल नहीं किया जाएगा. It is the larger community also which has to talk about any disadvantaged community. Then only things would be spread at a wider level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Archana ma'am. And I think we have a long way to go. And the example cited by you are very, very relevant and absolutely true. So thank you so much. I think we have already crossed our time limit, and Amrita ma'am has a prior commitment. So thank you so much, Amrita ma'am. If you would like to proceed, you're most welcome to.
Okay, so just Professor Archana has said everything from the common people points of view, even not being the part of the community, you can do lot many things, and that is a message I think we should take from this webinar, from this session. That I some incidents were coming in when I was taking a session on gender and sexuality in Wilda Vidya Niketan in front of 400 students. They were saying like, ma'am, we do not have any information about you. We do not have any idea about you. That makes us to make fun against people
Yes.
like you. So I told them, then you promise me that today you have come to know Amrita. Today I'm standing in front of you. So there can be thousands of Amrita, lakhs of Amrita, and but you don't know. So you have to reach to the unreached, and then only you can change the system. And with that thank you note, with that positive attitude, I really want to thank the organizer, every one of you, every audience, the participants, Dr. Rajesh, Archana ma'am, everyone, Shiva, who was communicating for a long time. I think this is not the end, this is a beginning, and definitely this can be a like ongoing basis. We can do that. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy Teachers' Day. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you
Amrita.
so much,
Thanks a
ma'am.
lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Parinita. Thanks, everyone. And thank you,
so
Rajesh
much.
ji.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you, ma'am.
you.
I
Thank
think
you,
Dr. Harpreet Bhatia is also here, ma'am.
Hmm?
I
Yes,
see
yes,
Dr.
sir. Yes,
Harpreet Bhatia.
yes,
Harpreet
sir.
ma'am,
I'm here. I'm
Harpreet
here.
ma'am, how are you, Harpreet ma'am?
I'm absolutely fine.
Ma'am, you like to have something? Parinita, kindly, if you see, Professor of Psychology, Keshav Mahavidyalaya. You do
Hello,
not have
thank
time
you.
now.
Yeah, I'll just say in one sentence,
Yeah.
I think this webinar is really the need of the hour because there are very, very few people who are aware of leave alone the problems that are being faced by the third gender, but also the existence of, because like earlier it was said that everyone just wants to turn a blind eye towards the existence of this group in our society. And I think we need to make the group which is aware bigger than the group that is not aware. I think that is what we need to work at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harpreet ma'am. As a concluding thought, even I am a little emotional, so I would like to conclude by saying that I think we have a long way to go from being recognized just as a human or an individual and not being, ascribed with a gender, because I think that is very, very important. And I think we really need a transformational change where we are not putting, surnames as suffixes or Mr., Miss, or XYZ as prefixes. So I think that is the kind of change that we would really like to see in the future. And yes, of course, let's not limit it to a webinar, and let us get involved in the extension activities so that there can be, an appropriate inclusion of all genders, I would say. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Professor Rajesh sir. Thank you, Amrita ma'am, Professor Archana ma'am, Harpreet ma'am, and all the other participants. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Baba
everyone.
Ki
Sir,
Pathshala and Shiva for organizing.
Yeah, thank you.
sir,
I think
before
you and
ending the session, I
Parinita
would like.
also for having a very well, coordinated the program. I think Amrita, thank you. Professor
Thank you,
Kasi,
Uh,
doctor. Thank you so
Sir,
much.
hello everyone.
Harpreet Bhatia. Thank
I
you.
would
Shiva.
like to make an announcement.
Yeah, Siva, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a very well
Shiva has an update to share. So we'll take a quick minute to listen to an update by Shiva, please.
Uh, First of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And the thing is, the whole team of Baba Ki Pathshala is going to provide free online education first to the transgender people. And this is our the first initiative, you can say, or the first step towards the change, you can say. And we hope that it won't be limited only to the webinars and everything. We will surely go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a
Thank
good
you so much.
initiative.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Bye, bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.